Richard Carte, the inventor of that flute. And he wrote something I don't even have the music to. It's called National Airs. These airs and variations. It's a bit of a lollipop. And I first heard it played by John Amadio on record, because John Amadio died in 1963. And he was born in the 1880s, I think, in New Zealand. And he played the Radcliffe system flute, and he was a phenomenal player, really phenomenal. And he had quite a career. Do any of you know John Amadio? One person, cool. Yeah, well, he was very dashing, and he went off to Australia from New Zealand. He was in early 20th century in Melbourne playing, and the big opera singers came, like Nellie Melba and Tetrazzini, that have, desserts named after them now. Anyway, they wanted these singers would use him for their flute obligatos and took them on tour around the world. So he just started to tour with these people, and he did tours, and he played all over the States, and before the First World War, after the First World War, and then he ended up in Australia towards the end of his life, playing in Melbourne in the symphony. So I'll play you this just for fun, and wish me luck. And it's just an air. The air is called Keel Row, which is a song from northwest of England. It's about the boatmen it doesn't really matter. It's just an air. So here's the tune. stand nice and tall, that's it. And when you bring the flute up, try not to bring your head too much forward. And then maybe just play me a nice long beat, your first note. So take a good breath and just hold it as if you were going to... That's it. Just keep holding it and just blow through it. And don't worry about the audience or anything about that. Yeah. And again, take a nice full breath and do the same. That's it. Give it plenty of support with the air. You can even blow a bit harder if you want to open up a little bit in the mouth. Yeah, good. Because sometimes it feels maybe you can slightly open, put a little bit more space between your teeth and give it a little bit more support. So, and maybe also draw back your lower lip tiny bit, as if you were blowing down, well, not as if, but blow down more into the instrument. That's it, with plenty of air. Yeah, and even slightly, good for you, and even slightly more open maybe. I'm quite open when I do that. Yeah, and if you want, that's better. And if you want, maybe add some vibrato as well, just to help. Just, it kind of loosens you up a little bit, I think. One time I taught somebody to vibrato to think about the old steam trains that would go by. You've seen them on the movies, you know, to give that sort of feeling. Now, it shouldn't sound like grotesque, but to get the right sort of speed, because if it's too slow, it sounds too slow. Yeah, that's nice and full. Yeah, because when you want to, I think that, now if you start, maybe that gives you more the feeling of the tone you want at the very beginning. So let's start it again with that sort of idea. Yeah, I think you should do that long beat before you do it. So because you had it. It's a little more open in the mouth, and you're more, you need to, you have a habit there, so just play your breathing. Yeah, and then just start the tune. Yeah, let's take that once more, so. Just blow through up to the G sharp. Just try to blow through the interval. Yeah. And always give it plenty of what we call support, which means blow, you know. So take really good breaths. Let's see what sort of sound. Yeah, that's a little more, there was, especially at the beginning, there was a little bit more of what I think was really nice in the sound. It seems to come from way down. Yeah. So again, go back to the B. Just practice even to just the F sharp. Take a really, really good breath. So. So again, I'm going to encourage you to blow more. So. Because it's a big hall, let's say, it's a really big hall, and you want to fill that hall with your sound. So, and don't be afraid of playing it a little bit out of tempo. You don't have to perform it for them. It's really to get the sound, you know. So I'm doing a little slow. Getting into the sound. So from the B. Very good. Good. Now, in your left hand, you're really good. I want you to just make a G sharp. Just finger a G sharp. Just hold the flute like this, kind of, and show them the G sharp that you're going to make. Now, what I want you to see is my pinky finger. I'm trying not to have it like that. I'm trying to have it like that. If you see a violinist, you know, they play like that. They don't play like that. And it's a better distribution of effort from the muscles. So a good way to warm up, a good position, you can improve slightly your position, is just to look and finger your G sharp. And then when you take it off, try to keep a sort of an arch like that. It's less tense. And then in the left, in the ring finger as well, and in the middle finger as well, you want them to have a bit of an arch, like the old-fashioned arched bridges. It just spreads the muscle work better, and you don't get tense. You're not like that, but a little bit in the pinky you are. So that's a good way to sort of work on that. And you can actually sort of similarly in the right hand as well work on the pinky always is a problem because it is, and we don't want it to always be like that. I didn't see, but I think you're probably fine. Okay, so from there. Remember this, to always stand tall. So I know that probably when I was playing, I was looking at the notes trying to see them, but you know. Try to keep your chin a little bit up and your shoulders not too elevated. That's very good. So a good exercise for that is to sort of have your flute like this, you know, you're standing, you're nice and sort of tall and all through here, and you just bring your flute up and you look a little bit like that, you know, so you can do that a few times without bringing the chin down to the flute. Yeah. Okay, so from maybe let's go on to the fun stuff. G, and I just want to work a little bit the low register. what I just did. Try to get a really full open sound. Remember what I told you before, draw back the lower and open up. And blow. That's good. You could take a little bit more time though, a little slower or longer on the notes. Because when I do that, I need the time to work with my embouchure and everything just a little bit. So don't leave the note too soon. Because while I was playing that, I was actually slightly opening. The other thing I wanted to mention was, you know, in your business, okay, you can think of it here too. Try to be as relaxed as you can in your hands. So you have to actually do that slowly to do that. So in here, when we're doing this, no tension, you know, just the only tension you need to do to hold the flute and everything. So from the G, but there you go. So if you can just sort of finger a G sharp, sorry, but think about that. It's kind of like holding a hot dog. Kind of like that. Try to get that. Have a look at your hand. Look at basically the pinky finger especially. Yeah, and you can do this on your pinky and try to keep it a little bit arched, a little bit more arched than you do. So from the and think about what I said about opening, a little bit drawing back the lower lip, and giving plenty of air. There you go. Okay, now we're going to start from the F sharp, and just hold that F sharp, see if you can improve it before you go to the F natural. There you go. So, yeah, because when you're going all this, you know, down to the, it's really important. You have to be quite open, but you have to have that lower lip a bit back as well. So let's take that again. Just hold me the C. I want to get it for you. Yeah, I think you're gonna. Yeah, for me, I prefer the C. It's very good. I prefer if you could make it a tiny bit lower, which means you have to blow down into the flute more. Okay, so let's see how can you flatten it. You know, really. Yeah. I know you can. You should practice a little bit of the tone bending because you often have to do it anyway. So, what I feel is my lower lip is drawn back. It's like I'm doing that. The opposite of on a hot summer day, like that. The upper lip is kind of forward. Yeah. Yeah. And you know what else you can think of? I think you're pretty relaxed around the edges of your mouth, but see if they can be more relaxed. See, it may be that they're totally. Yeah, okay, good. Let's take that phrase then. Okay, so you kind of have to blow through the phrase. So blow between each note. Don't let your speed of air diminish. Actually, push it tiny bit. Why? Because we want a bit of a crescendo anyway. Let's take it from the C again. Remember what I just said about the C's. practice it very slowly to get the crescendo. Yeah. So what are we going to do here? I think you can't drag, I guess, or take a much bigger breath. Yeah, take it from before the F. Take a much bigger breath so that la dee dom. We don't feel that it's really dying from the F. Going on. To take away any vibrato. Okay, so maybe right with that note we just finished on. Just hold a note and you got to support it with enough air. That's it. Like blowing a balloon. There'll be a lot of times where you need to work on having what they call a pure sound, a non-vibrato sound. You know, that's what they mean. Non-vibrato sound, it's important. And so for you, you've got a natural vibrato, which you need to sort of expand on and make even more variable. Like you can have a vibrato that's like that. It's sort of a shimmer, or you can have a really, really, strong one, or you can have basically no vibrato too. So right now you have a really nice one, but it's sort of in the middle, and we need to expand it. But I would say, yeah, even this. If you hear a horn player play in most places, they play with no vibrato, or clarinet, which really makes you listen to the tuning. And in the old days, with that kind of flute, especially the players of that kind of flute 100 years ago, or even more than 100 years ago, they generally didn't use much. They couldn't even. They didn't really have much skill using the vibrato, so they didn't play with vibrato. And the good ones played in tune. But you heard it. You can really hear the tuning. So maybe you should just do... as smooth a sound as can. If you get a bit of vibrato, it's okay, but... Once more, to make it even better, the link to the G. Yeah. Let's practice that. Work at all that, and we're going to say bye and thanks very much.
Thank you.
start at the top then. Great. Okay, great. I think, even though he's written 30 seconds, ba-di-da-dum, it's hard to pick them out. If you could, ba-di-da-dee, if you could support them a little bit more, we'd hear them more. Da-da-da-dee, they're quite important. Di-da-da-dee, so it's like words that you need to articulate well. Da-dee-da-dee, da-da-da-dee, ba-da-da-dee, and also give a feeling of development. Da-da-da-dee, ba-da-da-dum, ba-da-da-dee, maybe a sense of crescendo. Okay? Tricky because the C, la di da dum ba, the C sometimes needs a bit more body in the sound, and you can give it a bit more time. Like a signal, like somebody waving a flag, that we see it, because sometimes we just hear it. We sort of hear it vaguely. So I'd almost say you could begin to see a little bit early and tenuto a little bit so that they really get the seventh. And then it has a different interval. When you get to say, I think you can give it a little bit of good articulation, so we get a feeling of direction in the phrase. All right, take it again from the very, very beginning. Yeah, let's make that really clean. Dee da da dee, dee da da dee. Yeah. What is it? Pivot on the B, I think, Support well the beat as well. Yeah, then they hear all of it, because they need to hear that. Now, could you do that interval? Do, si, do. Yeah. Okay, so you're in tune. There's nothing wrong. But I like your C's lower. You're perfect. I just want the C lower. And like I said before, open a bit the mouth, draw back the lower lip. Just work on the C. Just play me a lower C. Because sometimes you'll be required to play. You need to play. Yeah. Okay, so again, you have to open a bit more, blow down more into the instrument. The lower lip comes back. When I say lower lip comes back, open a bit, it's all saying blow down more into the instruments, into the embouchure hole. And that will make it flatter, and of course I'll make you play too flat, but I like it that way. I like, because that and I would say, a performer has a certain amount of liberty, and it's not to be free of anything. It's to put across what the composer is writing a little bit. The composer writes in the mind, and the mind hears things, but sometimes practically in a hall or whatever, they don't hear it so well. So sometimes, you can have a certain degree of rubato or liberty. so that it has, it's not sort of predictable da-da-da-dee all the time. Ba-dee-da-dee, it can be flexible. So don't worry about me getting your C's too low. Just do it now, but you can have the freedom. So dee-da-dum, and then tee-da-da-dum. That's a different, that's not so fast, right? Dee-da-da-dum, ya-da-da-da. Even though that's faster, not too fast that we lose it. Okay? Let's do that one again. You can do it even better. Yeah, okay, good. Ta-da-da-dum, ti-da-da-dum, ti-da-da-dee-da. So the difference between the 64th notes and the triplet 16ths is you can make more pattern. Ta-da-da-dum, ti-da-da-dum, maybe more dolce. Ta-da-da-dim, ti-da-da-da. We're going to move on, but you go from the top. All right, bravo. How do we make that? So he writes, or she, Adolphus. Okay. Da-dee-da-da. It's mezzo piano. How about mezzo piano to start with? And your movement maybe could be more mezzo piano too, to start with. Movement is great, but maybe it's a little bit too much for right here. Maybe says goddess of the willow trees. So a more mezzo piano feel. I know I'm trying to get people with big sound and everything, but now let's try it with a sort of more mezzo piano. Da-dee-da-dee. Not too fast. Actually, it's only da-dee-da-dum, but it's really hard. Da-dee-da-dum, or let's not think of it as really hard, but just think of how do we want it to sound. It mustn't sound like somebody gargling. Da-dee-da-dum, da-dee-da-dee. So try that second line then. Smooth and silky. Yeah, okay, so maybe you need, you know, you could probably do it that way. So what I'm doing with this, you said, that's a lot of clacking going on. If you put this one down, it might make a little bit less heat. Yeah, and so I would do practicing. Take a long da-dee-da-dee-da and see how that feels. Yeah, okay, good, bravo. So try to make them as smooth as you can doing that. It's really hard to make it really smooth because you've got, as it is, with this one down, you still have 4 fingers doing something. And I remember I had a teacher from Norway who studied with Moyes and used to really get on at me about banging with my keys because it accented. something tempo-wise. So, ba-dum-bum-bum, ba-dum-bum, ba-dum-bum. It's going up to that high G. It's a little bit like something's happening, okay? Can we do ya-da-da-dum-bum-dum from there? So those staccatos, quarter notes, maybe in this acoustic, it's too dry. It's dum, bum, be. It should be, it sounds like a staccato eighth right now. So it can be a bit longer. How about from this andantino thingy? Yeah, okay. Lam, bum, bum. It's kind of that feeling. Yum. So it sounds a bit dumb. Bum, bum, yum, bum, bum. Again, from that little spot. Good. Go on. Good. Do from me. Da-da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. I want to hear clearly. Da-da-da-da. Ba-da-da-dim, ba-da-da-di-da-da-da-da-da-da-dum. Be right there. Good. Great. If the C could be maybe a little lower, okay? Lum. Yeah. Could you not move so much? From there to right there. Now, la, re, could you do that, please, la, re? Okay, I like the A higher, and maybe the D is fine, or slightly lower. La, re. Yeah, so, sol, si, la, da, dum, dum, from yeah, for me, the D is too high, but the rest must go da, 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 dum. Good. Okay. So D and E, re, mi, tiny bit lower. Generally, I'd like the D, the E, and the C's in that area well, for me, I feel they should be a bit lower to be really sounding in tune. Let's go on. Because in stuff like this, it's really important to check tuning. It's always important to check tuning anyway, but it really is really important because you know it well, but to improve it now, record it on your phone. You don't have to record record the whole thing, but record in bits and listen. Don't necessarily use your tuner. Yeah, maybe, but your tuner will tell you certain things, but also use your ears. And do you have perfect pitch or not?
Sorry.
You do. Okay. So, well, that's good. That's great. But sometimes the machine will tell you to play it in a certain place, which is just. You know what just means? It's like, it's not necessarily in an orchestra. Sometimes you don't play just because it doesn't work. You have to pitch a note slightly higher. Sometimes with the woodwinds you can play it just and it sounds good. Sometimes if you do that, it'll sound flat or whatever. Okay, pitch is very important. So do get good at pitching your D lower and your C lower. It's not that you always have to do that, but I would suggest it because you need to have that flexibility. How about you try it? Re, mi, sol, re, mi, la. Okay, from the re. Yeah, okay, so what is that? Can you go Si, Sol, Re? Yeah, and now Re, Sol, Si. Yeah, I like where you put the B too. You brought it nicely up, and intonation. It's very flexible, and you're never winning all the time. Some things, but that's very important to do, and I think a really good way with our phones and everything. When I was, you had to use a tape recorder. Now you can just put your phone on and just listen back. And sometimes I'll be thinking, when I play, I'm thinking, oh, my B, whatever note is sharp or flat. And then I listen to it and I'll think, it's not too bad. Or it's actually, I'm a bit sharp, but, or whatever. But it's good to do that because sometimes when we're playing, somehow we get a different